Happy Friday, nasties. Welcome to EST Afternoons on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. I'm Hernan Salas, joined like always by the one and only Joaquin Gage and our producer, Zachticum. It's going to be a fun show today. We'll have Salim Valji from TSN out in Calgary to preview some Flames. And they're coming off a big win on Wednesday night and maybe some stamps. We'll also be joined by Gager's boss and overall funny guy, Tilley at 140 in studio. And at 220, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton as we'll go around the NFL and get you set up for Sunday's action. We had a good game yesterday. I'm very happy the 49ers won. So, yeah. And I'm rubbing it in. Actually, I haven't rubbed it in yet with our producer here yet. But it's going to be a fun show. We're going to do a lot of Oilers. Like usual, if you want to listen to us, hit us up on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, iHeart, or the TuneIn radio apps. If you want to watch us, it's the EST YouTube channel. Hit us up on the Nasty Chat or 780-218-9999. And like always, we're coming to you from the beautiful studios here, courtesy of William Huff Advertising. Gage, my man. How you doing, man? It's Friday. Sweet shirt.
Yeah, no, I picked a shirt that brought out my eyes a little bit more. I know you can't really zoom in, but yeah, it really makes the baby browns pop.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? Looking sharp. Sharp.
Love it. Love the 780. Actually, my wife. It was funny because I threw this on last night, and my wife was like, "Oh, you went to that store?" And I said, "No, they are a sponsor of the station. They were nice enough to bring by some swag." So she was actually quite jealous, and now I'll probably get the bill because she'll go to the Southgate location and pick some stuff up because she's always kind of looked at it and said, "Oh, it's kind of cool."
What you got to tell the wife is tell him you're Joaquin's wife. That might be a little...
I don't know if that works anymore.
Well, no, but you're part of EST is my point.
Yeah, I know. Maybe, yeah, that's why. But
it's hot in here, eh?
No, you're wearing a sweater. It's freezing out there.
Could be the Hote.
Oh, there it is.
This is water, by the way.
I got here late. Everyone around here saying okay to the Hote. That's for sure.
Let's. Where do you want to start? Rafael Lavoie, claimed by the last Vegas Golden Knights once again and sent to the minors right away. Is this the
Coachella?
end?
Is he going to Coachella?
Is this the end of the Lavoie saga?
I don't know. This guy's the village bike. It seems like. Well, you know what? I'm kind of happy that he's going to a different organization, though.
Sure.
Probably better for him, I think. Just with how everything's gone for him here, there's no room in that top six. Didn't we think that it was going to be Colorado first? Thought it was going to be Colorado.
Yeah. Just
looking at their lineup. But obviously there's someone in the Knights organization that thinks that they like this player. So you want to go to where you're wanted, first of all. And I think because, he's kind of come up in this organization, he doesn't have the...
But do you think it's because the others don't want him? I don't.
No, it's not, but there's no room.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's...
And with everybody that thinks Lavoie should be playing top 6 minutes for the Oilers, like Vegas is sending him to the minors. He's not cracking that lineup either right away. No. He might down the road.
Vegas is notorious for scouting and getting other people's talent, right? Yeah. They haven't done a lot. And I think it's still, they only have one person that they've actually drafted into their lineup. And it's obviously they haven't been in the league as the same number of years as the Edmonton Oilers and established that minor league system. But still, they will remove an asset to be better now. Right at first, that's their first thought, right?
But, but what's I feel bad for him because he's going back. Again, I don't think he's left Edmonton. Now he's heading to Henderson 100%. But this for me is not
Henderson.
something.
Sorry,
Henderson.
I thought it was Coachella.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's
I didn't mean he was going to party, Hernan. No, Jesus.
That's what I thought.
Wow.
It's been a long week. I'm tired. Coachella, Seattle's farm team. There we go.
Thanks, Dudley, in the Nasty Chat.
This one says, "Damn boys." No, the boys are back. LFG. You know what that means. Lee Hacksaw on today. He's on WST today too. What the hell?
Wow.
Yeah, he's
busy
great.
guy.
He's great. I can't wait to chat with him. This is my first time chatting with him. I've heard him a bunch of times on the other station, but that's coming up at 2:20, and the EST Fly Away is also coming up to LA, proudly presented by the 780. And I don't know when we're going to do it. It's going to be a surprise. It's all going to depend on those thumbs up.
Yeah. Let's.
And they're pretty low right now, so let's
and
jack them up for Friday.
Hey, we realize everyone tries to skip out of work or get the weekend started right, especially the long weekend.
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to put it on the people to see what they can do, because if you can get to 50 within the first hour, I think that's. And I know you got to get the fixins. You got to. It's a big weekend for a lot of people. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Gobble gobble.
Gobble.
Let's. You got to get the Brussels sprouts. Get all the things. Get all those. The turnips. Are you a big Thanksgiving feast?
I love
Family?
it. Yeah. Like everybody's like, because Chilean family, right? But it's like we've always done the Canadian Thanksgiving.
Okay, yeah.
So we do turkey and all the great stuff. So I love it because I love Thanksgiving food.
Yeah.
Stuffing. We do like in our culture, we do a lot of salads too.
Yeah.
Like we have like 6 different things you can choose from. And then the turkey's always just top notch. So I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. You?
Well, yeah. My in-laws, we're over there Sunday, and I'm sure my mother-in-law she must be part Chilean, because she has about 18 different salads. And then she says, well, you can bring a salad, but she'll make 5. And I'm just like, geez, you should see like the amount of food. And then the funniest thing about it all is, there's too much food. And I'm like, every year, and I'm like, you made all this.
Yeah.
You've done it for the past 15. Or longer than that. As long as I've known you. It's, longer than that. My boys, so 20 years. Jeez.
Wow.
Longer. 23 I've been with my...
So you go to the in-laws for Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Sunday?
Sunday.
Yeah, nice. So because you can relax, have a few drinks. And
Yeah, I also have a meeting out at one of our sponsors of EST is... I got to go see Mitch at Park Mazda.
Oh, buying a car?
I don't know. We'll see. Betsy needs new shoes. She might need a new dress. But I had to take her in this morning to my buddies at Mark Giotto. They kind of tightened it up for me, and we'll see. But yeah, I might have to roll in something new.
Nice. I love Thanksgiving. I can't wait. It sucks because I have to work Sunday. Well, it doesn't suck. I love my job, but like I won't be at my sister's till about 10, 11. But still,
10,
we got at night because the Oilers play at 6. So we got to do postgame.
It's at 6?
Yeah.
I thought it was an afternoon game. I thought I for some reason I thought I heard 2:00. I was like, cool, Thanksgiving early.
Yeah.
Boom. That just makes so much sense.
It's at 6, so yeah.
I wonder how much can you get turkey dinners at Rogers? Probably for that night. How much is a turkey dinner at Rogers?
Probably $40.
75.
Man, I went low on that one. Marco on the Nasty says, somebody please explain to me the logic of this Lavoie situation and explain Bowman's thinking here so I don't need to burn the city down. Well, why are you going crazy over Lavoie? Like, this guy's not going to play here. Gager? We need to talk Marco off here. He's going to burn down the city.
Look, you've seen him play, although it's at a very small sample size. But right now, he just doesn't fit into that top 6. I mean, geez, we don't even know what this top 6 actually is going to pan out to be.
Well, thankfully, the forward lines today are the same, and that's the way they should be. Because I was going to lose my freaking mind if McDavid was with Draisaitl.
He would never do that. He would only do that to mess with people, I think.
Snars Tax says, so Bowman intentionally destroying the Oilers? I don't know if that's tongue-in-cheek or...
No, of course not.
No, come on,
You don't think
guys.
this guy wants to win? If
Raphael Lavoie was that damn good, he'd be on an NHL roster. I'll leave it at that. Okay? Enough with Lavoie, man. Like we feel like we're talking about some elite... can't miss prospect that should be in the lineup every day. Let's pump the brakes on this guy.
How long has Lavoie been in the organization?
4 years.
4 years.
I think.
So 5 years?
Yeah.
That's ample time to crack in, right? You got to figure something out.
If he turns in to be a top 6 forward, I will I'll do something silly on the show, but like I just don't see it. Like he's not, maybe next year or the year after, but not this year. Like, come on. You think he's going to play in Vegas, really? He might be a call-up Gage if there's injuries, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're hoping for. That's what you're hoping for with most teams is, unfortunately, injuries create opportunity for people, but or poor play. And...
That team just beat the Avs 8-4. You think they're really raring to get Raphael Lavoie in their lineup?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Just, I don't know. Moving on. Dermott with Nurse today. Emerson with Kulak. Gage, are too soon to make that move in your eyes?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think so. There was nothing there last game. That's the most important thing. I can understand it.
But it's one game, though, Gage.
I know, but we also saw... we didn't see much, I guess, in preseason. I'm sure they'll be trying to find some sort of mix and match at some point. If you're going to change it... I don't know. I'm fine with it. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it doesn't move the needle in either way. Yeah. Emerson and Dermott were both not very good in that opening game. Either was Darnell Nurse.
No.
So
no one was good.
No, fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, the only player that like a lot of people were talking about and felt like on the third line was Connor Brown, and really he had two good chances to score. Should have buried one. So, like, are we glamorizing good scoring chances as a good game? I mean, I felt he was okay, but still, you got to bury your chances. He had issues all last year with burying the puck until a certain time. So everyone has to be better on the Oilers.
Yeah, and I think this is a short-term move as well, because if they struggle on Saturday against the Blackhawks team that you probably shouldn't struggle, I mean, there are going to be some rough shifts. It happens to all the teams, Gager.
Yeah.
But... at the end of the day, in that pairing, for me, Nurse has to be better. He needs to lead that pairing, not Dermott or Emerson. And then maybe Emerson getting easier matchups with Kulak, Gager, and then maybe as the season goes on, you move him into that spot.
Why wouldn't you? Whatever. I guess you got to have some sort of veteran experience with him a little bit, but why not just move Kulak up then? But that's just me. How about Broberg being on pace for 82 points this year, hey?
Stop. Please don't get that started. Oh, man. And they lost, right? No, they won.
They came back and won.
You see Celebrini's first goal?
No, I didn't.
A nice little spinorama.
Oh, really?
Was it a spinorama?
Yeah, so I could pull up the video later as well, but
sure.
Just to explain it, it was him rushing in on the right side, got a pass from the opposite end before the blue line from William Eklund. He came in, tried to do a spinorama and pass it back to Eklund, who was rushing the net in front. It went off the Blues defenseman's skate and then redirected into the net. Not the nicest first goal, but they don't ask you how, right?
Yeah, but the commentator went crazy.
Oh, probably.
Like he meant to do that.
Yeah,
Marco says, clearly teams saw value in Lavoie. If multiple teams put in claims, so why not trade the guy at least to get a pick? You know why they didn't trade him, Marco? Because he has no value. Do you think Vegas is going to sit there and be like, yeah, we'll give you a fourth rounder, when they're like, we'll get him for free?
Yeah.
Like that's what's going on here. Like, we need to pump the brakes on this. Listen, the Oilers, if Lavoie was in the lineup on Wednesday, the Oilers were still losing 6-0. And the Oilers are going to be a good team this year, and it's not because, I mean, like, we need to pump the brakes on Raphael Lavoie. Please, people. I get it. He's a sexy prospect in the minors, and he scores a lot in the AHL, but he hasn't done it at this. And some people might say, well, he hasn't been given an opportunity. Well, when the team's contending, it's not a time to give young guys opportunities. So I'll leave it at that with Raphael Lavoie. Wish him all the best in Vegas. Hopefully he can find some games there in the NHL. And like I said, if he turns out to be a hell of a top six, I'll do something silly on the show, but I'm not gonna. I'll say I'm pretty confident I won't be doing anything silly.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Are you gonna play the goal now before we get to break? Okay, here it is, Gager. Take a look. And for the people listening, we're just playing the Mac Celebrini's first NHL goal.
Here is Celebrini pulling up, spinning, shoveling across. They score!
Oh,
A nice little spinorama at the boards. Goes
Yeah.
for the pass, goes off the defenseman and in.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, he should. I think we didn't go through our rookie of the years, did we? Our picks for rookie of the year?
Yeah, did we?
I don't think we did. 'Cause mine was Celebrini.
Yeah, I think it was like a breakout player of the year. I don't
Breakout
remember.
player.
It was breakout player, but I remember bringing up Mr. Matvey Michkov.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we did do rookies, but
It's going to be between those two guys. And there's always a surprise one, right?
Lane
Yeah.
Hudson.
Oh, Montreal Canadiens. Yes.
He's been looking really good.
He looks nasty.
Is Stan Coven still considered a rookie?
No,
No?
I think so.
is he?
I think he's still in the rookie running. Let me double check that.
Because you have to play a certain amount of games, right?
If you keep it under, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think. Do playoff games count?
No, I don't
Okay.
think playoff games. Pumping the brakes on defending poor asset management. But, like, so you're going to keep a guy up because you don't want to put him on waivers that's not going to play on your team. He's not going to play on your fourth line, people. Get that through your heads, please. He is not a fourth line guy. He's not a third line guy. This guy needs to play with offensive players, and he's not going to play here. Who are you taking out of the lineup in the top six for Raphael Lavoie? If you're that set on him being on this team, please tell me, where would you put him? Who would you take out of the lineup? And don't say fourth line, because that's not his role. That's not the game he plays. Could he down the road? Yes.
Like, so right now, Vegas has this is their projected kind of lines. Olofsson and Howden on the either side of Waugh, and then Schwint between Pearson and Kolsar. So he's not even cracking that.
No. Like,
So
And yes-
is he supposed to be up there with Hurdle and I don't know, Doroviev and Holtz? No, like that's of course not. So unless he's all of a sudden forget it. Unless he becomes a good backup goaltender or a seventh defenseman, this isn't. He can't even crack that lineup. And I think the Oilers, if you look at theirs, bottom six, it's way deeper than the Vegas Golden Knights. So
injuries won't happen at all. Yeah, of course injuries will happen.
you know what I'll say though, Hernan, about this whole situation. I think that the Oilers need to have a better poacher, or maybe not poacher, headhunter, like someone that's actually really looking for talent outside of the organization, within the American League, or who are those yo-yo players that we can add and don't take up a lot of our we can't draft because we don't have any draft picks. We don't have time to build. They need to do a better job of trying to find some of these guys that eventually pan out.
Yeah, James, we'll leave with this because we got to get to Salim here. Lavoie is better than their 13th forward, 1,000,000%. How do you know that? James, I just want to ask, how many games have you actually watched Raphael Lavoie play? And this is an honest question, and this is not a chirp. I'm just curiously asking. Do you watch him play? Because a 13th forward, to me, is he better than James Hamlin? Is he better than Noah Philp right now? Is he better than
Better than Kajula.
Kajula? Because that's the 13th forward role. Those kind of players, not a guy that's suited to play on the power play and be a shooter, right, Gager?
I would say so.
So you'd rather have Lavoie sit out here every game instead of playing in the minors quality minutes. Anyways, 122, we got to get to Salim Valji from TSN out in Calgary. The Oilers will take on the Flames on Sunday at 6 o'clock. That's all coming up next. This is EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas. Let's get to a sports update with Zachticum.
As you've heard, Raphael Lavoie has been reclaimed off waivers for the fourth time in 6 days. You guys make me laugh. 6 days, and this time Vegas has reassigned him to the Henderson Silver Knights of the AHL. It's Oilers Blackhawks tomorrow with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas live for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show just an hour before puck drop. 3 games are on today with the Blackhawks and Jets, the Blues against the Golden Knights, and the Canucks battling the Flyers. Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson has been fined for breaking the CFL code of conduct by calling out the refs in a press conference after the Riders game. This was Thompson's 3rd violation of the code, and he is one of 6 players handed fines this morning. Tomorrow, the Elks visit the Stamps with Matthew Wannick and Jay Milne getting you set for the action on the Green and Gold kickoff show just an hour before kickoff at noon. Today it's CFL Week 19 with the Bombers hosting the Argos. And in MLB playoff action, it's winner takes all in Padres-Dodgers Game 5. The winner of that game moves on to take on the Mets. Salim Valji from TSN Calgary joins Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage just after the break. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
Ready for an unforgettable sports experience? It's the EST Fly Away to LA. Presented by the 780. Listen daily for the EST Fly Away keyword. Once you hear it, text us at 780-218-9999 for your chance to qualify to fly to LA. Round trip flights for two, hotel and car rentals, all to go see Edmonton face off against either LA or Anaheim. Plus, experience the brand new Intuit Dome as the Clippers tip off against the Warriors, and top it all off with the Rams kicking off against the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium. This is more than just a trip. This is the ultimate sports experience. The EST Fly Away to LA, presented by the 780 and Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
It's 1:25 EST Afternoons on Edmonton Sports Talk, coming to you live from the William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. Oilers play two games this weekend. Saturday against the Chicago Blackhawks, 8 o'clock puck drop. Sunday, Battle of Alberta, the first one. I love when it's early on in the season, Gager. It's going to be a fun one as well, especially if the Oilers somehow drop that game on Saturday. It's going to be a must-win early on for the Edmonton Oilers. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, as we bring in Salim Valji from TSN out in Calgary. Salim, my friend, how are you doing out there?
Good, man. Good to see you in the new role after a couple of great years dealing with you with the Elks. And Gager, I don't think we've interacted before, but yeah, I'm happy to be on, man.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to meet you too, Salim. This is just a big, huge love fest again. This is awesome. I love it.
We need that in 2024, no?
We do.
Oh, yes,
we do.
Salim, on Wednesday, the Flames, the start wasn't very good. It was 4-1, and I won't lie, I thought that game was going to be wrapped up because I'm really high on the Vancouver Canucks, but the Flames found a way in that third period and then gave up the tying goal late, but then pulled it out in overtime. What did you make of Calgary's first game? They're kind of a little bit of up and down.
Yeah, I think the word I'd use, Hernan, is resilient, right? If you look at it, they not a dirty hit, but a deflating hit on Kevin Rooney knocks him out, and it could have gone sideways, right? And this is not a Flames team of the past that's rife full of veteran experience. They're a young group. So it would have been easy for them to fold or to let the game get away. And you're right, they did. But to their credit, guys, they battled back. Mantha was a star of that game, eventually getting Miller to fight. He scores the goal coming out of the penalty box. It was definitely a game that showed character, right? If you think about the number of excuses they had. We all know that the playoffs are a pretty improbable task for this group this season. You could just say, new starting goalie, deflating hit, whatever. This isn't our night. But they battled back. They got contributions up and down their lineup. Jonathan Huber gets on the board early. Mackenzie Weegar with a shot. I think Shilov's had a really bad game. But by and large, like I use the word resilient, and this is a group that's playing a little bit freer compared to previous seasons because there's not those expectations anymore. We all know what this is, rebuild, whatever you want to call it. they're getting younger, and the expectations are lower. So I would use the word resilient, and I think it was a character win to open the season. And it goes to show that there are some exciting pieces over here. Connor Zary is one of them, but even looking at some of the other younger players, like there's a future here in Calgary that's starting to get exciting, and it'll come to fruition. Maybe not this season, but down the line.
Sharon Goalie on injured reserve. What's his prognosis, and when is he looking to come back into the lineup?
Well, I think it's week to week, right? There's a little bit of a fluke play near the end of that last preseason game at the Saladome versus the Winnipeg Jets. I don't think he's back anytime soon. I think it's probably, if I had to guess, game 5 or 6 when we would, or at the earliest, that we would see him. And now, Cole Schwink got claimed off of waivers by Vegas. They've been active. And then Kevin Rooney is now on IR too because of that hit. So their center depth suddenly is looking a little bit thin. And but in terms of Sharon Goalie, I don't think he'll be back for another few games. And he's versatile. He plays in all situations. He can play center. He's starting to learn that at this level, but most comfortable as a winger. And that's a loss. He led the team in goals last season, so that's a loss that isn't easy to fill.
Salim, Tyson Barrie, a guy we know well here in Edmonton, he went in there on a PTO, got signed, but he didn't crack the lineup for game 1. Was he outplayed, or was just kind of what the head coach there went with for the Vancouver game? Are we going to see him kind of similar to what we saw in Nashville, kind of in and out of this lineup?
I think that's it, Hernan. I think they're going to use a platoon system on that third pairing. I think Braden Pahal had a really good camp. And then Jake Bean, the local kid from Calgary, is the other player on that third pairing. And in terms of Barrie, I think he'll be in and out of the lineup depending on matchups, depending on if the second power play unit needs a jolt. Like we know what he is at this point, right? Like he's a player that has defensive liabilities, but can move the puck and is a good guy to have in the room. So I think he'll be in and out. He won't be an everyday player. He won't necessarily be in the lineup consistently, but depending on the matchup, they'll for sure put him in. And if you're going against a team that you need to move the puck that much quicker against, your special teams need a jolt. That's, I think, when Tyson Barrie will draw. And he told me that, look, he knows his warts are perceived to be defensively, and he wants to work on those. He said he even wants to kill penalties, but at this point, you kind of know what you're getting with him. So he'll be an inconsistent player, but I think they like his presence. They like his demeanor. He's got that carefree attitude that I think can right the ship at times when the going gets tough. And he's someone that can still contribute on the power play in a secondary role and move the puck.
You had already mentioned how Sharon Goalie was the leading goal scorer of the Flames last year, and a pretty big piece of the puzzle, I think, to the Calgary Flames. But now looking at when I see this lineup at the beginning of the season, I'm thinking, okay, kind of more towards that rebuilding stage of an organization, or rebuild on the fly, so to speak. But with I don't think they're going to be as poor as a lot of people have predicted themselves to be. Lots of cap room. Are the Calgary Flames possibly going to find themselves in that tweener area where you hope to rebuild through the draft, but sometimes that's hard if you finish kind of above maybe those lower teams and not getting those lower draft picks? What would you say management's kind of view of the regular season? Are they waiting to see how the team or the season goes, if they can maybe possibly be knocking at a wild card berth at some point? Or are they maybe looking to unload some of their veteran guys and maybe go for building through the draft and things like that moving forward?
It's a good question, because I think fans, a lot of them wouldn't hate the idea of tanking and getting a top pick, getting that franchise center that they've coveted for a long time. I think Sam Bennett was the highest ever pick over here, and he was 4th overall. In terms of, look, I think the veterans, at least publicly, even privately, have said all the right things. Kadri kind of joked that maybe one of his legacies now will be the number of pucks where he's assisted on a guy's first goal, and he's like, yeah, you guys don't have to ask me about trade deadline stuff. He brought that up unprovoked like 2 days ago. I think that says something. Look, I think they look at Dallas as the model, right? If you look at Wyatt Johnston, Logan Stankoven, Jason Robertson, these weren't top picks, right? If I'm not mistaken, 2 of those 3 were second rounders. And even Thomas Harley, I don't think was a high pick either. And Jake Oettinger, another one. So I think they look at that and say, we can do that, right? And if you look at some of the pieces they have now, like Hunter Brusevich, I don't know if people outside of Calgary know of him, but he was in the Elias Lindholm trade, originally drafted by Vancouver. But he, I think, will be a really good puck-moving defenseman in the NHL. Another kid they have is Artem Grushnikov, who they brought in with the Chris Tanev deal with Dallas. So I think they've got these prospects now. I do think at some point they're going to make an Alex Newhook Montreal Canadiens type trade. Like, I think they want to use some of that draft capital and try and trade for a player that maybe isn't getting the opportunity in another organization, but is still quite high end. But if you look at, Uyghur scored in the opening night. Kadri had a really good game. I think we all know you can't deal Huberdeau, but like, they have enough good veterans that they're not going to be too bad. But the question is, how do you get those McDavids and Draisaitls, right, if you're not drafting top 2 or top 3?
Yeah. And
I think that's where, the draft capital really comes into play, because all of a sudden they have first-round picks. They have a really strong prospect pool. The fact that they waived Jacob Pelletier a few days ago, and he was a top prospect here just a year ago, goes to show that they don't have enough room for all these kids. And maybe you package some of those assets in for someone that can help you that's still quite young. So I don't think they're ever going to go full on rebuild here. They're not going to do San Jose or Anaheim, but they don't want that culture of losing to set in. And I was in grade 9 when the Oilers made the Stanley Cup final. Grew up in Edmonton, and I think like that decade, the decade of darkness, and like I think they're really conscious of that, because it took the Oilers an awful long time to get the 2 cornerstones they have now. And I think the Flames are really conscious of that. But if you look at it, they have a lot of prospects, and not all of them are going to have space here. So they might not be bottom 4, bottom 5 bad. I think they'll finish between 9th and 12th, which will drive people crazy here in Calgary. But
yeah.
I kind of get what they're doing, right? Like it's not guaranteed to get that top pick. You're kind of gambling on the year as well if there's a super high-end prospect that'll change your franchise, because oftentimes there isn't. And that culture of losing. So they're aware of all those factors. And I think at some point you're going to see some interesting moves from this organization as they use some of that draft capital to get that franchise player maybe in a different way.
I just want to ask you one Stamps question, though. But for what happened with Jacob Pelletier there? Like, this guy, I remember last year he came on the scene, or maybe towards 2 years ago, towards the end of the season. What happened with this player? Was he just outplayed in preseason?
You're talking Jake Mayer, right?
No, for the Flames. Sorry.
Pelletier.
Yeah.
You know what? I think so. He the infamous way to start your career. I've wondered if that kind of type of introduction to the league, maybe there are easier ways to make your debut than to have that heaped on you right away.
Yeah.
In a Canadian market, your one clip is playing on shows a lot. Beyond that, he's a small player. He's, I think, got a little lower of an offensive ceiling than people anticipated. He had a good. He got hurt here in training camp last season. He comes back, and then 4 games in, Jacob Trouba catches him on the boards, and he's out. And I think he said that, that caused fear in him. That like he's going to be, if he's an NHL player every day, he's going to be a pest. He's going to be hard on pucks.
Yeah.
He's going to maybe get second power play time, but he's not going to be toe dragging guys through the neutral zone. And when you have that role, you can't really have any fear, right? Like, you can't be worried about a defenseman barreling down on you, because your role as a 4th line player is really to inject energy, to finish your checks, and to hard nose straight to the net. And I think that Jacob Trouba hit in February last year really kind of did a number on his confidence. And I really like Jacob as a guy. I think he's a great kid. Guys on the team love him. I saw that he made some comments in French earlier this week saying, you know what, being a young guy and going unclaimed through waivers, that was really, really tough. And I wonder for him if it's as much kind of between the ears and getting himself back to back to a confident player where, screw the waiver stuff. If the Flames have an injury to a winger, like, I'm going to come in and seize my opportunity. But the reality is that, look, Adam Klapka is on the fourth line. They signed Ryan Lomberg. Sam Honzek seems like he's overtaken Pelletier. Matt Coronado is the extra forward. Like, where does Jacob fit in? Maybe it's just a numbers game too, right? Where all of a sudden, like I said, the Flames have a lot of great young players, and there might not be room for him.
Yeah, and just one last one for you here, Salim. Great stuff on the Flames. Look forward to that game on Sunday. The Stamps taking on the Elks. Both teams disappointing years. We know here in Edmonton is going to be a fascinating offseason with the president yet to be named. What's going to happen with the interim tags? What's going to happen with Trey Ford? How are things down there in Calgary? I know Dave Dinkinson was asked last week about his job security, and he didn't like the question, kind of snapped back at the reporter there a bit. I mean, is there a future where Dave Dinkinson's not part of the Calgary Stampeders here going forward?
It's a good question, and it's equally fascinating over here, right, boys? Given the Stamps have had this 2-decade-long tradition of going to the playoffs that's ended, I'd be stunned if Dickinson was not part of the organization. I really do think he'll be back, but I don't think he's doing 3 jobs, right? It's pretty evident that he's been stretched extremely thin as an offensive play caller, as a GM and a head coach. And if you look at it, there's just talent deficiencies across the board on both the offensive and defensive lines. I think PJ Walker's a really fascinating look at quarterback, and I wonder if he gets into a couple of games here by the end of the season. It's safe to say Jake is probably out the door, but Dickinson, in terms of his future, I think he'll be back, but they've got to support him more, and I cannot imagine he'll be both the GM and the head coach heading forward.
Salim, great stuff. Thank you for taking the time on this Friday afternoon. Enjoy the long weekend. Well, you're probably going to be working, but still, you can enjoy the long weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'm sure we'll be chatting in the near future, my friend.
Yeah, keep up the great work, boys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. That's Salim Valji from TSN in Calgary. Before we get to break and bring in Kent Tilley, who's waiting here patiently in the chill lounge, I'm always fascinated about the Calgary Flames because they will not rebuild.
Well, Salim mentioned it. You'd have tiki torches and pitchforks, going through the streets if they really started tanking it. And he said it. They're taking the model of the Dallas Stars, and if you look at their lineup, they're kind of in that perfect window with a mix of veteran guys that have had success in the NHL. And I'm looking more towards like a Ben and Sagan in Dallas, where with Huberdeau and Kadri, Coleman. You inject some younger guys that can come in and play, like that Zachary, who's a phenomenal player, and you just kind of build through that, and they eventually just the roles of top 6 and bottom 6 change, obviously, and then you can keep on rolling.
But and I don't disagree with that, but at one point, I think you have to go through a rebuild.
Well, but it depends on the situation of your team.
Yeah.
Like everyone says, the Stars they've done it right and stuff, but it lined up perfectly for them where their older stars were aging. Like, look, 4 or 5 years from now, when Connor's got a cane and going to the rink, he might be in the 4th line role. I doubt it, but
it's just interesting because the Calgary's, like, they always say retool. They'll never rebuild.
Yeah,
and it's because I think for some fans it must be frustrating when they're like, okay, if we're going to miss the playoffs by 6 points, I'd rather you tank and we get a higher pick and we can start building around that. Do you know what? And he said, like, their highest pick is Sam Bennett.
And they're looking for that center, and I believe I got to brush up on my top draft, but I think there's a top center.
Yeah. 142. Great job by Salim there, talking some Flames and Stamps there, as Stamps have an equally fascinating offseason coming up. But up next, we'll be joined in studio by Gager's boss and comedian Kent Tilley on EST Afternoons. Coming up now, though, a sports update with Zachticum.
Raphael Lavoie is on the move again, this time being reclaimed by the Vegas Golden Knights, who assigned him to the Henderson Silver Knights of the AHL. Oilers host Blackhawks tomorrow, and you can tune in to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas at 7 o'clock, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. The Blackhawks are in action today with the Jets before it's the Blues facing the Golden Knights and the Canucks against the Flyers. CFL Week 19 kicks off as the Argos visit the Bombers in Winnipeg, and tomorrow the Elks play the Stamps. Join Matthew Wannick and Jay Milne on the Green and Gold kickoff show an hour before the game at noon to get you set for the match. It was Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson facing fines from the CFL for speaking out against its officials. Thompson is one of 3 CFL players who received a fine this morning. And in the MLB playoffs, Game 5 of the Padres-Dodgers decide who moves on to meet the Mets. Coming up next, Kent Tilley, special in-studio guest, joins Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper. It deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching the button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki with like a giant eagle's wings and singing lead vocals for Lynyrd Skynyrd with like an angel band. And I'm in the crowd hammered drunk.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
.145 EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, Zachticum here. The William Huff Studios as we welcome in for the second visit, Gager's boss, K4 Financial, and comedian Kent Tilley. Kent, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. You?
I'm excellent. You're a big Oiler fan. What did you think of that game on Wednesday?
Loved it.
That's exactly what you wanted to see, right?
They brought it. That's exactly what you want to see. Just in the fight.
Did you turn it off in the third period? Or are you one that watches the games no matter what?
My son left. He's like, Dad, we don't need to watch this anymore. And I was like, yeah, probably not. So I just did some yard work. I was watching in my backyard. It was good. No, I thought it was a good setting the tone for the season for sure.
What did you like so much, or what didn't you like about the game?
What? Everything. I mean, what do you mean? Yeah, I mean, who knows, right? You want to see them compete, I think.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they did a good job of that.
Are you as worried as some people in here, like YouTube Trev and some fans with Stuart Skinner? Do you think he showed enough last year in the playoffs where you can be kind of like, he had a bad game, but he'll bounce back? Or is there a little bit of concern there that this guy might be just a mid-tier guy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he is more than a mid-tier kind of goalie. That's just my thought. I mean, if you had the chance to get one of the top 5 goalies in the league, obviously that would be helpful, but we don't really have that chance. We got a little bit too much money tied up in a few other people that are pretty important, and one guy that will remain nameless that is on the D line. That whatever.
Does his name rhyme with purse?
Yeah, maybe. I was, which is good. He did get the purse.
Yeah,
he did. Good for him.
And I'm surprised because Gager, defend Skinner. Like, he was upset that YouTube Trev said that was one of his biggest concerns before the first game.
Yeah, that was. I think he is a top tier goaltender, but I mean, Kent and I differ on a lot of things.
Well, but he's not going to win the Vezina.
You say that now, we might have to talk afterwards. I think there's maybe he doesn't win it, but I think for the Oilers to be successful, I think he has to be in the conversation.
Well, yeah, and I'm pretty sure they would be successful if he was in the conversation for sure, right? But, I mean, that first goal, I don't know what he was doing. Like, he's just kind of like, oh, the puck's over on that side. I'll just kind of stand in the middle and let him shoot it off me with like 7 feet of net. And then I was like, well, I don't think today's his game, you know?
Yeah.
He didn't exactly steal us. What did he steal us? 1 game in the playoffs? I thought 1 LA game, maybe?
Oh, I would say the game 6 against Dallas. He was...
He's stellar in that one. The Oilers are terrible.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah. Oh, right. That was the game.
Yeah.
And so you were like, okay, well, you probably need 1 or 2 of those a series.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I mean, I hate going back to last year, but Bobrovsky, the first game, stole it. Mm-hmm. Second game still was pretty good. Even the third game, he wasn't as good as the first 2, but he could have been considered one of the 3 stars of the game. Yeah, I would say 2 games where you're first star, you need it, especially at that time of year.
Right. So, I mean, I just kind of, I don't know. I mean, I want to believe in him, right? Like, you want to love him. I don't want to get down on him, right? Like, I think goalies, I mean, I know I work with Gage. They have the ultimate level of confidence at all times. You know, if you get down for a second, it's like, all right, well, life's over.
Yeah, no, I got the calls from you at 11:30
at night. Right? And I need a hug sometimes too, right? You know. So I think goalies are a funny bunch.
Yeah, we are, and thanks for hiring me. It was great.
Right.
Kent, we switching gears now. We were talking about things to talk about on Financial Fridays here on EST. We were discussing what to do, like kind of end of year planning, using some simple tools that people can follow that can make a difference going into 2025.
Well, I mean, so I don't, change the entire economy. Can we do that?
We can.
Let me write that
down. Well, I thought I would give away the bag today, because I probably won't get invited back. But so I had written down some notes at home, used my calculator, and forgot them. On the coffee table, but that's okay. I can remember what I was talking about. So I'm going to tell you guys the ultimate way to save for retirement if you are an employee. And as long as you're making kind of decent money, and this is as simple as it gets, and it is really kind of this simple. And that's the thing, is everybody's an expert out there and wanting to get rich quick and all of these things, but what we deal with at the most part is, retirees that just slow and steady build this up. And now, in this day and age, we have access to RSPs and TFSAs. If you're looking at them just choosing one over the other, if you actually run the math, it's very close to identical. In some cases, the RSP will work a little bit better depending on how much money you make. And in some cases, the TFSA will. So my thought always, and nobody ever listens to me, is to combine the two. So I ran this example. You're 35 years old. Let's say you're making somewhere in between $70,000 and $115,000 a year. And, out of some miracle, you can save $10,000 a year. I know that's very difficult for math for this purpose. We're going to say you can. If you can't, save whatever you can and try and add to it every year. So let's say you start with $200 a month. Maybe next year or in 3 months, you can do $220 a month or whatever, and just keep increasing sort of with inflation as you age. That will help. Now, somebody's 35. They save $10,000 a year into their RSP until they're 65. They're going to have about $790,000 in there. Every year, they're going to get, depending on their tax bracket, back $3,050 in this case. I want you to take that $3,050 and put it into your TFSA. That's going to add up to somewhere in the range of $250,000 if you're getting a 6% rate of return. That is not guaranteed. If you want to increase the likelihood of getting a higher return, pay less in fees, buy a low-cost index ETF portfolio. Don't pay some loser at the bank 2.5% to give your money to Mexican drug dealers or whatever. Whatever TD's doing over there, I don't know. Okay, so now you've got a little over $1 million in your RSP and TFSA, and you've only invested $300,000 over 30 years. Now, taking it out, you've got 4 sources of income now. You've got CPP, going to pay about $1,300 a month in today's dollars. That will go up because we have to contribute like a fortune into CPP now for all these boomers that complain to us every day about how they're getting ripped off. But OAS is going to pay about $700 a month. There's $2,000. The RSP is going to add another $50,000 if you're emptying it out over the next 25 years till you're 90. And then you've got the TFSA. So you're going to be taxed on average about 20% or $15,000. So you've got $50,000 in after-tax dollars plus the TFSA moves you back up to about $75,000 a year. So you take that after tax, $75,000 a year. Doesn't work perfectly because of inflation, whatever, but you don't have a mortgage anymore. You can potentially split that income with your spouse, pay even less tax. All of these things, you can basically recreate your income, but you have to start now. That's it. Right?
That's it.
That is it.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
actually quite simple. It sounds a little bit complicated,
Complex,
but
yeah.
it's not. It's not at all.
Zachticum, you got that? You're young.
It's getting to the 100,000 threshold is like kind of your ultimate goal if you're just starting out. I mean, it takes a long time, but then it starts snowballing, right?
Yeah.
Like, then you have a really good year. You know, you're gonna the market doesn't move at whatever these losers online say. Like, you're gonna get 11 a year, and you're like, no, you're not. It's not how it works. It goes up, it goes down, it moves. Some years it moves really hard. If you have a lot of money and then you have a 15, 20% year, you're like, holy, I made more money off my investments than I made working.
Wow.
Right?
And don't use the banks. I mean, probably not a lot of people have seen TDs they just got fined, what was it?
$3 billion
American because of their
money laundering
schemes with Mexican drug cartels. So,
yeah.
Oh boy,
their stock did well yesterday. I looked at it.
Good old Toronto Dominion.
Straight down, you know.
Yeah. Van Owen on the Nasty says, first rule, pay yourself first. Penner's Pancake says, yep. I don't know what that's just do everything.
Great rule, right? You know, you you consider your future your first bill. Right?
Yeah.
You know, they're all like kind of simple napkin things where you don't carry credit card debt, right? Like all the banks make all the money off of the debt, right? So like they'd rather you have debt than investments because say they're charging 2% on your investments on $1 million, that's $20,000. But if they're charging you 5% on $1 million mortgage, they're making way more money, right? So, and then, imagine $100,000 on a credit card or a HELOC at 9% or whatever, right? Like they're making way more off debt. So their main structure is debt, whereas like a good, financial planner or somebody that's looking out for you wants you to have more money and less debt, where the bank is like, I want to sell you debt so we can have better profits for the 1,000 shareholders that actually benefit from the dividends rather than pay less.
And you just become the snake eating your own tail.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I mean, it's complicated because they make it complicated. Most products you don't want. I mean, you got to keep it simple. That's what we always talk about on the channel is like people, like a lot of guys out there, make it super complicated. And then we'll get these people coming in with crazy ideas. And you're like, no, it's not that hard, right? Like this is not rocket science. It's simple. It's easy. It's supposed to be boring. Hopefully, but people don't want that. It's not, it's not exciting, right? So they want to make that quick buck off Bitcoin or whatever, and hopefully they fail at first so that they learn their lesson quick.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you fail later. If it's like going gambling and then you win a bunch your first time, well.
Yeah,
you should never do it again.
Yeah, probably. Brent B on the nasty chat. Can't take my money now. Katie says I'm under 30 and putting away $1,500 a month.
Unbelievable.
I hope I can retire by the time I'm 75.
55.
Oh, you'll be way ahead of the game. Katie. If that's crazy, good for you. I love when I see young people, before life hits them.
Yeah.
And the nuts or whatever that are saving. But it's awesome. If you're in your 20s and you can save. I could tell anybody that I meet, some parents, their kids or whatever, they're like 18, 20, they come in and I'm like, you save this much, you're going to be way wealthier than your parents. And it's as easy as that, just time.
Yeah.
Right?
Spency 5 cents, he says, cash is king. Kent, great stuff on financial advice. Our listeners are absolutely loving it. You got a couple of shows this weekend. You want to let them know where and when?
Yeah, I'm at the comic strip tonight and tomorrow, 2 shows both nights. Super high energy show. It's funny. It was funny. So the host is a buddy of mine and he's pretty low energy, really funny dude. And then the headliner I watch and I was like, I can't believe they put 3 people with the same energy on the show. But it was funny and he's really good. Yeah. So if you let them know that you saw me on or heard me on this and somehow get a hold of me through Gage or whatever, I can get you in for sure. You just tell them I said, do not make me pay,
Okay. All right. I'm on it.
That's awesome.
I like giving away Rick's money.
Kent Tilley, Gager's boss at K4 Financial and comedian. You can catch him at the comic strip today and tomorrow down there at Bourbon Street in West Edmonton Mall. Kent, like always, thank you for coming in. Look forward to the next visit and some more financial advice and good laughs. Coming up in the next hour, we got Lee Hacksaw Hamilton coming up to talk some NFL on the EST Fly Away to LA. This is EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas will be back right after the break.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they are the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement. retirement.
It's crunch time for your taste buds because for a limited time, A&W is collaborating with Ruffles to bring you the Ruffles Crunch Teen Burger, your favorite teen burger, and your favorite Ruffles cheddar and sour cream chips combined into one unique taste sensation. It's grass-fed beef. It's one-of-a-kind ridges and crunch. Try it in all its teen burger glory or crunch into its equally tasty sidekick, the Ruffles Crunch Buddy Burger for just $4.99. Try one today at your neighborhood A&W.
Raphael Lavoie has been reclaimed off waivers for the 4th time in 6 days, and this time he gets picked up by Vegas once again, but this time he's reporting back down to the AHL for the Henderson Silver Knights. It's Oilers Blackhawks tomorrow with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas live for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show just an hour before puck drop. 3 games on today with Blackhawks and Jets. The Blues against the Golden Knights and the Canucks battling the Flyers. It was Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson receiving a fine for breaking the CFL Code of Conduct after his words on the officials. This was Thompson's 3rd violation of the code, and he becomes one of 6 players handed fines this morning. Tomorrow, the Elks visit the Stamps with Matthew Iwanek and Jay Milne getting you set for the game on the Green and Gold kickoff show just an hour before the action at noon. Today in CFL Week 19, Bombers host the Argos. And tonight, it's winner takes all with Padres-Dodgers Game 5. The winner of that game moves on to face the Mets. EST Afternoons continues with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage right now. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and you're up to date.
Hour 2, EST Afternoons, Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, Zach Kubusch, Kent Tilley. Shout out to Kent Tilley for the great financial advice and the laughs. He's at the comic strip tonight and tomorrow, so make sure to check him out. Like he said, high energy.
No, there's but when he explains things, I think it helps because it's very in a simple, straightforward way. But with sometimes you don't get the humor in there, right? Because he'll drop it, and then was that a joke?
Yeah.
But good stuff from Kent. Check out the website if you're wanting more information, or his channel on YouTube. Kent's got hundreds and hundreds of videos. Letter K, number 4, financial. Just look him up, and you can get a lot of help there, or reach out.
Yeah, no, great stuff. Shout out to Salim Valji from TSN in Calgary as well. Coming up, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton in the next segment as we'll go around the NFL. And we'll also have another qualifier for the EST Fly Away to LA, which is proudly presented by the 780. I want to get to this text here at 780-218-9999. Keep those coming in as well as on the Nats chat. Hernan, why are you so fixed on our 4-year development window? Vinny D is an exception. How about Carter Verhage? There are more examples of players becoming serviceable NHL players. Zach Kassian, Oilers management blew it with Broberg, Holloway, Lavoie. I'm not saying it has to be a 4-year development. You asked me how many years has Lavoie been in the...
I said that, didn't I?
Yeah, it's 4 years. Yes, they did blow it with Broberg and Holloway. They weren't prepared for it. They should have prepared for it. I'm not saying that Raphael Lavoie can't become a good player, but like everybody's freaking out this year that, the Oilers didn't get... If this guy was good enough, trust me, the coaches in the NHL are smart enough to realize it and be like, hey, this guy needs to be in our lineup. He's not, and it's not a knock on him.
If he was good enough, there wouldn't have been one of the probably 2 wingers, or maybe both.
Signed.
Would have signed. They wouldn't have gone after Skinner or Arvidsson because they would have had something that was serviceable next to Leon Draisaitl. They just didn't think, and you don't know. And really, I guess you don't even know if Arvidsson and Skinner are going to work out too, right?
Exactly.
But they have a little bit more of an NHL resume. And I think from what you've seen against Arvidsson over the last few years with those playoff battles against the Kings, he's a beast. Like you're always watching those and thinking, oh my gosh, I'd love if he was on our team. You know,
Yeah.
he plays that style. Skinner, to be perfectly honest, I don't. The most I've seen of Skinner is highlights when he scores, and through that whole when he signed that massive deal with Buffalo and didn't score at all. Those are my two memories of what Skinner's done. So, but I think there's something there. Something tells me that this guy is going to be motivated to play his first NHL playoff game eventually, and hopefully. He gets a chance to compete for the Stanley Cup. But no, this guy, do I think that the Oilers need to do a better job in their scouting? Yes. This is when it's really important. When you're a bottom feeder and you're just getting 1-2 picks, it makes it pretty easy. But this is where you got to find those diamonds in the rough. If you're willing to trade those assets and lose them, you got to find those people that, okay, this guy's going to, the way we're molding our team, looking at the age of other players, we're going to slot these guys in here, more so like the Dallas Stars. But again, they fell into a perfect window to it, aligned perfect. The stars aligned for the Stars. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, and it's that point where I'm kind of like Raphael Lavoie. Could he turn into something in the next couple of years? 100% he can, Gager. But you're never going to find a team that's a Stanley Cup contender and have the best prospect pool. It's rare. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't have a decent one, and I don't think the Oilers have a.
Well, I think you can, but that prospect's probably been in your system for a while. It could be one of those cases where, and I was talking to someone about Kevin Weeks when his first year in pro. He was considered one of the best goalies not playing in the NHL.
Yeah.
Right. You can have a few of those guys, but sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years for them to develop to be that player.
Of
right.
course.
So.
And the people saying, well, why didn't they trade? You don't think Stan Bowman called around and said, hey, we're trying to, can we get something for Raphael? How many teams probably sat there and said, no, we're not doing this because we're going to get him on waivers?
Or they wanted something, the deal did not make sense. Well, yeah, we'll take whatever. I don't know what they would throw in there, but they probably wanted picks or something as well. And look, no one's going to bend over backwards to help replenish the Oilers' cupboards here.
And again, we're assuming that Stan Bowman didn't try to trade him. We're like, no one knows that. Like, we don't know the inner workings of what Oilers management. Yes, don't get me wrong, Gager. I was listening to you guys because we hadn't started our show yet when Broberg and Holloway got the offer sheets. Like, I was blown out of my...
Oh, yeah.
Like, seriously, I was blown away. I did not see that coming. I don't think the Oilers saw that coming. No, that's on them. They got to be prepared for everything. And yes, I get the argument. You didn't have to sign Corey Perry that soon. You didn't have to sign Josh Brown because with that money, you could have kept one, right? So I understand that. And yes, they blew it. And you're seeing Broberg play in St. Louis. Like, Gager, he's on pace for 82 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, those hurt. Like the Broberg, because you look at this decor now, how good would Broberg look in this decor?
Oh, my gosh.
Travis Dermott wouldn't be
on
here.
pace for 82 points. Come on.
Travis Dermott would not be here, and Broberg would be on because Broberg's a lefty, but can play the right?
I still would like him just to play his side, you know.
But he can't because Nurse and Kulak.
I know.
So he'd probably be with Nurse.
So you're trading Nurse?
No, he'd be. I love. Is it Christmas?
Yeah.
No, but like he would be with Nurse, and then Kulak, Emberson, and you're good, right? And you might still, and you have Stetcher as your seventh. Like I'm still kind of intrigued why Stetcher can't get into this lineup because we saw it last year when they acquired him, Gager. They wouldn't play him.
Yeah.
And now you played him in the last preseason game. The Oilers weren't very good in that game, but he was fine, and we all thought he was going to get the start on the third pairing. But why won't they play Troy Stetcher? Is it just the coaching staff maybe is not high on what he brings? It has to be, because the other two are not bringing a lot either.
Well, Yeah, because the lineup stays the same, right? Stetcher's not in. I'd like to see him. I want to see him, especially you might see him Sunday too, right? So maybe
That's
keeping things together now, because you don't want to. I think as a coach, if I was coach, and look, you're not. The top six they're not, no one's coming out of the lineup there. If you're going to make changes, it's going to come from either sixth or seventh D or your lower end forwards. If you start looking at, there wasn't a good game, and you start making changes, I think there is a case where players start thinking, I just can't make a mistake. I want to play the next game. I want to play. And that's a terrible attitude that's their fault, but just that splinter in the back of their mind. If we don't win or I don't play well, the coach is going to kick me out of the lineup, right? You want to just get out there and play. And I think it's good to just keep the lineup the way it is, put whatever happened in the previous game behind you, and go forward from there.
Do you think the Oilers management team looked at those offer sheets and kind of took it personal and said, screw these guys? Because they probably could have kept one.
I mean, that's the perfect show. Like the cameras, that's where you want to see the decisions that were made. I don't care about the decision. I just want to hear the conversation, because obviously it's a platoon system of authority here with Jackson and Bowman, right? I think they're
probably kicking themselves now. On what?
Well, I don't think they're kicking themselves yet.
On Broberg.
Well, I said I thought the bigger move would be to sign Broberg, just because of what he did in the playoffs. He was their best defenseman, right? And although it was too steep a price tag, you would have had to.
Because I remember when Dusty told you the offer sheets, and you laughed out loud when you heard Broberg's number, because it's too much. I get that.
It is, but it's also not too much if has 82 points this year.
And again, the analytics are not good on Broberg. That's why I take analytics with a grain of salt, because I don't think they tell what's happened. They can't tell you what's going to happen. I don't believe that for a sec. From what I've seen from Broberg so far, so good. Gager, I'm sure St. Louis is very happy with what they're seeing 2 games in.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're probably ecstatic of what they see. You know, a guy that's playing over 20 minutes, he's contributing offensively. Young, that's a steal for them right now.
Yeah, that one's going to hurt for a while. And if the struggles continue on defense, there's not a lot of guys. Is there guys that are better than what they have? Yes, but they're hard to acquire now. You're not getting a legit top 4 guy, Gager, at this early in the season. No one's lining up to help the Oilers unless you're overpaying for it.
No, and I don't think anyone's willing to part with those types of players yet, because the season hasn't played out, right? I think if I remember correctly, when Ken Holland was talking about basically how the Ekholm trade came about, those discussions started I think it was almost in the summer. It was, hey, if you guys are out of the playoffs, we'd be interested in Ekholm. Those conversations went all the way up to the deadline with Poyle, the GM of the Nashville Predators at the time.
Poyle.
Yeah. And so this is what I'm sure Stan Bowman has a short list of teams that he looks at that are maybe on the cusp of the playoffs, right? Or maybe a little bit outside.
Yeah.
Looking at their defensive lineups. If they're out, probably a few targets. If you're not having those discussions now, then what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be fascinating. And I said this, Gager, in the last segment, I'll get your predictions for this weekend, but I think the Oilers, for me, have to go 2-0 this weekend. I wouldn't say it's unacceptable, but it's a little bit of a downer if they split Chicago, Calgary. 2 teams they should beat. And this is pros. I get it. Like, any team can beat any team on any given night. But the Oilers should be past that part of their struggles. that we've seen for the last 5-6 years, where it takes them a while to get going, or they struggle against the lesser teams. So for me, I'm expecting big things from the Edmonton Oilers. And at the same time, Gage, like, if they beat Chicago on Saturday, I'm not going to sit here and praise them, because I'm like, that's a team you should beat. Like, that shouldn't even be close.
So yeah, I mean, early in the season, on paper, this should be a 4-point weekend for the Edmonton Oilers. But I mean, they've played to the level of their competition before earlier on in seasons, right?
Yeah.
Until they really find themselves. So we're hopefully that they can find something. So whatever, I would just implement such a simple game against the Chicago Blackhawks, because even if you do that, buddy, there's no way that the Blackhawks can match the skill level of the Edmonton Oilers.
No.
So match the intensity, match the work ethic, and match the execution, and they probably still beat them by 3 or 4 goals.
Exactly. And Skinner's got to bounce back. That goes without saying. 2:18 coming up. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton from LeeHacksawHamilton.com as we go around the NFL. And after that, it's the EST Fly Away to LA keyword presented by the 780. That's all coming up here on EST Afternoons. First up, here's Zach Kubusch with a sports update.
Raphael Lavoie is on the move again, this time being reclaimed by the Vegas Golden Knights, who assigned him to the Henderson Silver Knights of the AHL. Oilers host Blackhawks tomorrow, and you can tune in to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas at 7 o'clock, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. The Blackhawks are in action today with the Jets before it's the Blues facing the Golden Knights and the Canucks against the Flyers. CFL Week 19 kicks off as the Argos visit the Bombers in Winnipeg, and tomorrow the Elks play the Stamps. You can join Matthew Wannick and Jay Milne on the Green and Gold kickoff show just an hour before the action at noon to get you set for the match. Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson is facing fines for speaking out against CFL officials. Thompson is one of 6 CFL players who received a fine this morning. And on the NFL injury report, Adam Scheffner on Twitter says Taysom Hill is ruled out for Sunday's game for the Saints against the Bucs, but Alvin Kamara and Rashid Shaheed are good to go. In MLB playoff action, Game 5 of Padres-Dodgers decides who moves on to meet the Mets. Just after the break, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton joins Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage here on EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and that was your sports update.
Ready for an unforgettable sports experience? It's the EST Fly Away to LA. Presented by the 780. Listen daily for the EST Fly Away keyword. Once you hear it, text us at 780-218-9999 for your chance to qualify to fly to LA. Round trip flights for 2, hotel and car rentals, all to go see Edmonton face off against either LA or Anaheim. Plus, experience the brand new Intuit Dome as the Clippers tip off against the Warriors, and top it all off with the Rams kicking off against the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium. This is more than just a trip. This is the ultimate sports experience. The EST Fly Away to LA, presented by the 780 and Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they are the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
8:22 here on EST Afternoons on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, and our producer Zachticum as we now go around the NFL with Lee Hacksaw Hamilton from hacksawhamilton.com. Lee, how are you doing today?
Gentlemen, I use that term loosely. Good afternoon in Edmonton. I bet you did not know that you're talking to one of the big Oiler fans this side of the border. You didn't know that, did you?
We did not. No. Did you watch that first game, Lee?
No, I'm at my cottage in upstate New York in the Northern Adirondacks, and I don't even have a TV in my cottage. It's a little bit Spartan, and it's kind of a little bit wintry. But no, I've been in San Diego since 1987 doing sports talk radio forever, and then I was a voice of the NFL San Diego Chargers and then the Seattle Seahawks. But I started my career in hockey in the World Hockey Association, and so I've come from a hockey background, and I just continue to cover the sport. I write about it on my website all the time. We talk about it on my weekly podcast to some big NHL fan, and you're knocking at the door in Edmonton, and one of these days you're going to kick that door down and you're going to raise the trophy. So I'm hoping it happens. I used to be a Maple Leaf fan, but 1967 was a long time ago when they raised the bat.
Lee, I just selfishly want to know, did you ever attend any Adirondack Red Wings games back in the day?
No, I never got over to the eastern part of the state. I started my career, oddly enough that you had that, in Mohawk Valley in Utica as the voice of the Mohawk Valley Comets. And by the way, gentlemen, everything in Slapshot, 95% of everything that was in the movie Slapshot is true, because I lived that life. I was in that league at that time when they quote Charlestown Chiefs, aka the Johnstown Jets, brought the Carlson brothers, aka the Hanson brothers, in, and I saw and experienced everything that was happening in that league for the last couple of years. So the movie's unbelievable. It's been a cult figure movie. I never figured it would ever turn out to be that, but yeah, a lot of the junk that's in that movie is true.
That's great, Lee. And yeah, it's great that with our listeners now, they're absolutely going to love you now that you're an Edmonton Oilers fan as well. They had a rough first game. They lost 6-0, but they're going to look to redeem themselves this weekend with 2 games. Lee, let's get to some NFL talk. And earlier this week, there's big news out of New York as the Jets fired Robert Saleh. Did this come as a surprise to you?
Well, there's, I guess, 2 ways to look at this, guys. He earned his spurs as a pretty good, accomplished defensive coordinator with the 49ers. He deserved to be a head coach in the league, but not all these hires are perfect. Not all these hires work out. And as a head coach, he was a really good defensive coordinator, but he wasn't a really good head coach. Sometimes these guys get overwhelmed with the responsibility to both sides of the football. They developed a really knockout defense ever since he got there as head coach. You know, they're ranked top 5 defensively. But the problem is they just never figured it out through all the coordinators he had on, how to make the offense work. And they had quarterback crisis. They went through Sam Darnold. That was a number 1 pick that failed. They spent a number 1 pick on Zach Wilson, the kid out of Brigham Young. That didn't work, and he washed out. Now they've invested this money in Aaron Rodgers, and it's been a slow start. It's been complicated by injuries in the offensive front. They've not solved what kind of chemistry they need to have, wide receiver to Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. The running game has kind of disappeared on them this year, which is kind of weird because they had a really good running back for a year and a half in Breece Hall, but they're just not hitting on all cylinders right now. So part of me says they kind of reached the end of the line with Robert Saleh. There's an awful lot of conversation. Aaron Rodgers' fingerprints are all over this. Well, if they are, he's denying it. But if they are, then he's got himself about 14 games where he better figure this thing out, because you don't want your career to go out on a losing record and go out with all this controversy tailing you. They've had so many distractions since they signed him, and part of it might be the New York media always digging for some angles to stories, but part of it might be Aaron Rodgers. You know, the dude missed the OTAs. The dude was on vacation in Egypt or wherever he went. Greece should have been there. You know, and the dude's also the one that made the comment, I don't want any distractions. We're playing football. Well, what's New York been like since training camp? Distraction story after distraction story. So had to make a change. They're not done. The offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett's been demoted. He's gone. The general manager, Joe Douglas, might be fired at the end of the season, too. So there could be a total remake coming at the end of the season, unless Aaron Rodgers works magic and somehow on his right arm carries this thing back and makes it a playoff team. They still got time to do some things, but just nothing seems to fit there in New York right now.
Lee, we already mentioned one coach getting fired. Who do you think around the league is also in jeopardy of losing their job if things don't turn around quickly?
Well, Dallas has always been a hot point. You know, are you winning? If you're not winning, are you going to lose your job? Jerry Jones has been very loyal to his coaches through thick and thin. I don't know where Mike McCarthy is on that curve right now, but I would tend to think, you know, if they can't go deep into the playoffs with the kind of money they're paying the guys that they've got, notably the quarterback and the wide receiver, and what they're going to have to pay the linebacker, Micah Parsons, then maybe Mike McCarthy is not the right guy. But at this point, Jerry Jones has been very vocal that this is my man and we're going to get through this. So that's one name. Second name is in Jacksonville. They've just not been what we thought they were building to be. I think Doug Peterson is in hot water there. You know, they're paying Trevor Lawrence $55 million a year, and he hasn't won a bleep in his career, and yet they gave him the state-of-the-art money. Well, Trevor Lawrence is now playing this weekend to probably start a drive to save his coach's job, and if he can't, then that coach is gone. And then the weird name is out there that's not going away because they're so bloody inconsistent is Philadelphia, and what's gone on with Nick Sirianni. And that, you know, they've got Jalen Hurts and they got Saquon Barkley and they've got three really good wide receivers, and they move the football up and down the field over 400 yards per game, but they turn the thing over. And then you add into the equation, they've spent a lot of currency on defense in the draft 3 years in a row, and there's no pass rush, and they're not stopping people. And a lot of people are starting to get I think disenchanted with Sirianni's approach to this thing, but I think he's, you know, they've got too many good players not to be a good team, but at this point, they're kind of a hot and cold and kind of an erratic team. So just off the top of my head, those are hot names. There are really other bad spots in the league. Carolina's a mess. New England, this is the end result of bad drafts in the Belichick era, and Jared Mayo has to pay the price there. Cleveland is just dysfunctional. The Raiders are dysfunctional. So there's a lot of problem spots around the National Football League. But a whole bunch of these coaches are under multi-year contracts, and I can't see the owners swallowing the contracts they'd have to pay to get rid of Antonio Pierce in Las Vegas or get rid of Stefanski in Cleveland.
Lee Hacksaw Hamilton joining us here on EST Afternoons. Lee, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Jaden Williams, we've seen these guys as we head into week 6. We've seen a lot of good and some bad from rookie quarterbacks. What have you made of the rookie crop so far at the quarterback position in the NFL?
Jaden Daniels, far and away surprise. I mean, he had a great career at LSU and Arizona State. He was kind of a one-man wrecking crew offensively, throwing and running. And he got to the NFL, and my first reaction when Washington drafted him, well, they need a quarterback for the future. And he's playing really well. He's playing with great composure. He's not turning the football over. He is smart, but he runs the football too much for me. And running quarterbacks eventually get hurt. And so they're going to have to learn to control that a little bit. But all the reviews that I've read and people have told me have just said, this kid is just super intellectual at the line of scrimmage, and his pre-snap reads, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And you look at their roster, they don't have a hell of a lot of offensive skill talent around him, but he's making all these plays. So I think Jaden Daniel is really the best of the bunch of the first-year guys. Over in Chicago, I think Caleb Williams has figured it out. Now they're running the football a little bit better with DeAndre Swift, who's come in and has gotten healthy. And if they can have a power back, complement the quarterback who moves the pocket and makes plays, and if they can get all their wide receivers on the field at the same time, they've not had them because they've been nicked up. I think when I said Chicago is going to be a surprise team, this kid has had back-to-back big 300-yard games and running the football some, so he's been pretty impressive. The weird fit is Denver. Bo Nix statistically hasn't done a lot of good things with the Broncos, and the last I saw Bo Nix last Sunday, he was arguing with Sean Payton on the sidelines. He was walking away and barking at Payton, and Payton was following him down the sidelines, barking back. Now, on Monday, they kissed and made up, and Sean Payton complimented the kid, saying he's like Ferris Bueller, who's going to do what he thinks he needs to do, and he's going to get it done. So that's going to be interesting to see. They don't have a good team around Bo Nix in Denver yet, but they seem to be building, and Bo's not making a lot of mistakes. And I must tell you, though, it has to be culture shock for him, because all he did at Oregon was throw touchdown passes and run for scores, and all he did at Oregon was win. And they're scuffling a little bit in Denver, and he's turned the ball over already. But he's gotten progressively better week by week. So that's kind of fascinating to see. And the other name quarterback, this is a tough set of circumstances in New England. They're going to start Drake May this week, and that's a miserable roster. I mean, Belichick left behind a lot of wreckage because they didn't draft well, and they don't. I dare you to pull up a New England depth chart, and please tell me who their playmakers are. And now they've made the quarterback change, and Drake May is going to start for the rest of the season. He's probably going to get pounded along the way, and he's going to go through a painful learning curve. But that's the future of the franchise, and he's got to start to play sometime. So he'll start this weekend, but that's a long road back because he does not have a hell of a lot around him. And they've also had to convert him. He was a lifetime shotgun quarterback at North Carolina, and he's under center now in New England, and that's a little bit different perspective in terms of pre-snap reads and footwork and mechanics and things like that. So it's going to be a bumpy road for a couple of weeks in Foxborough till he kind of gets his sea legs in New England. So that's kind of a summary look at the hot young quarterbacks, the third of the way into the season.
Lee Hacksaw Hamilton joins us today. Lee, let's look at the weekend. What do you see as the top games going into Sunday?
Well, there's a whole bunch here. I'm not going to be able to go through all of them with you, but I'll give you a quick synopsis. We saw San Francisco win the shootout over Seattle last night. You got Jacksonville, Chicago. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, that thing is just upside down. He's playing so poorly. They have so many injuries. Cleveland goes to play Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts and those guys could put a hammer job on the Browns and Deshaun Watson. We talked about the kid quarterback, or the kid, Jaden Daniels, is going to play big boy football against the Baltimore Ravens. And Baltimore with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry have really figured this thing out. You got Detroit, which is coming off a bye week, and they're finally healthy. They go play a Dallas team that's got Dak. Dak Prescott's making a lot of plays, putting up a lot of yards. They have no defense in Dallas. Dallas has lost 6 defensive linemen, a linebacker, no Micah Parsons, who's hurt, and a lot of injuries in the secondary. That's why Dallas is a disaster right now. So I'd say Detroit, Dallas is worth watching too. Buffalo, New York Jets, Monday Night Football. Now we'll see what the Jets are like after the firing of the head coach. And can Aaron Rodgers hang in there against Josh Allen? And Chris Allen doesn't have a lot of firepower around him, and he had the scary hit that sure looked like a concussion to me last week. So we'll see how he has to play. So, there's some teams that are really behind the 8 ball right now. Cincinnati is 1-4. Cleveland is 1-4. Some of these guys are going to have to start posting victories. Otherwise, their playoff hopes are going to be over before we get to the end of the season.
Lee, great stuff. Like always, I used to listen to you all the time on the old station. And thank you for joining us here on EST Afternoons. Look forward to having you on later on during the season, and we'll catch up and talk some Oilers as well. All the best this weekend.
My pleasure, and for all your fans up there, listen, check my website out. I write on it every day. It's all written content, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. And also, I have 2 podcasts a week I do, and they're really different. They're kind of unique, and you can, subscribe on the YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. So when you're done with the guys in Edmonton, just go to the YouTube channel. That's Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Good to talk to you in Edmonton. Go Oilers, and I'm sure we'll hook up again. Great stuff, Lee. That's Lee Hacksaw Hamilton from LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Check out his website. I was on there today. Great stuff. He does a great show on YouTube, as well as he was saying, the podcast. Sorry, not on YouTube, but I think it is on YouTube. Yes,
it is on YouTube.
Yeah. And he's great. And he's an Oiler fan. He used to cover hockey back in the day. He said Slapshot's about 95%.
It is. True. That's why it's still the best, kind of hockey movie.
Yeah, I know. He was great. Great breakdown of the NFL. Love what he had to say about some of the teams that are struggling, some of the teams that might make coaching changes, and then everybody's high. And he said he was a little surprised with Jaden Daniels, which is good though. But yeah, he's going to play some big boy football because they get the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. That's probably the game to watch for me. That's going to be a fun one with Lamar Jackson, who's a running quarterback, Jaden Daniels, who's also a running quarterback. They both got that dual threat. But that was great, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Thanks to Maddie for suggesting it. He's definitely a guy we're going to have on again, Gager. He was absolutely fantastic. But you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for the keyword for the EST Fly Away to LA, proudly presented by the 780. The 780 is a homegrown local shop right here in Edmonton. 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 area code to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations: Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, or the Outlet Mall by the airport. And look at Gage's shirt. That's courtesy of 780. We all got a little gift yesterday, which was absolutely awesome. So 780-218-99. You'll watch 3 games, NBA, NFL, in the good old Edmonton Hockey Club in either LA or Anaheim. The word is wall. Wall. W-A-L-L. Text that in to 780-218-9999, and our producer Zachticum will pick the next qualifier. We'll close out the show next here on EST Afternoons, but first, here's Zachticum with a sports update.
Raphael Lavoie has been reclaimed off waivers for the 4th time in 6 days, and this time he gets picked up by Vegas and will report to the Henderson Silver Knights of the AHL. It's Oilers Blackhawks tomorrow with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas live for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show just an hour before puck drop at 7 o'clock. 3 games on today with the Blackhawks and Jets, the Blues against the Golden Knights, and the Canucks battling the Flyers. It was Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson being fined for breaking the CFL Code of Conduct, speaking out against the CFL officials. This was Thompson's 3rd violation of the code, and he's one of 6 players today handed fines. Tomorrow, the Elks visit the Stamps with Matthew Wannick and Jay Milne on the Green and Gold Kickoff Show, getting you set for the game at noon. Today, it's CFL Week 19, with the Bombers hosting the Argos for kickoff. And in NFL injury report, Rashad White is listed as doubtful for the Bucs against the Saints this Sunday, and quarterback Taysom Hill of the Saints is out as well. But removed off the IR is Alvin Kamara and Rashid Shaheed, who are good to go for New Orleans. It's winner takes all with Padres-Dodgers Game 5 tonight. Winner moves on to face the Mets. Right after the break, it's the final segment of EST Afternoons. Text in the keyword to have a chance to qualify for the EST Fly Away. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and that was your sports update.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oiler fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
780 is just another lame-ass, low-budget local shop. Homegrown right here in Edmonton. 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 1,000 local vendors from the 780 to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Of course. .42, welcome back to EST Afternoons. Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage, Zachton. We just had some good laughs there in the break with the boys. Good times. Awesome guest. We're bringing him back on, Gage.
Yeah, have to.
I don't
have
care.
to.
I don't care what anyone says. The EST Fly Away to LA is presented by 780, and our guy Zach is working on the qualifier right now. So keep it locked here as we got the Reed Wilkins show coming up from 3 to 6 with Jay Milne. They got a fun show. They got Ryan Rashawn coming on.
I just got to say.
And a guy named Joaquin Gage.
Well, right, I'm doing
and
that.
Jordan Tutu.
Jordan Tutu as well.
I think I'm the only guy that had one of Twitter Mary's cupcakes there.
Oh, I'm going to have one.
Oh, delicious. So, Twitter Mary, if you're listening, your cupcakes are awesome.
Thank you. We were having hotes for lunch, so they didn't want too much sweetness, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. No way hote for me.
No, you weren't a fan, eh?
No. It kind of reminded me of the mulled spice wine. We're getting close to the time of year where the Weihnachtsmarkt and in the German-speaking areas, and the mulled spice wine. You ever tried that?
No.
Yeah, it's great.
Really?
It's so much fun.
Do you like red wine?
Yeah, but I'm at the age where it hurts a little bit.
More than beer? Like beer hurts me.
No, I can't sleep. Like I don't know what it is. It's
You're restless.
Maybe I should just try having one glass.
Instead of 8.
Oh no, I just have one huge glass that a bottle fits in, and I just say I just had one. Why do I feel so bad?
My sister,
I had 2 glasses of wine.
My sister has a cup where it's for a full bottle.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
You just pour a whole bottle in there.
Yeah, I'm getting some wine today for home.
Of course you are.
Some nice red, and then watch the Elks tomorrow at 1. McLeod Bethel Thompson fined for the 3rd time this year, Gage.
Yeah.
And I think every time you get fined, like this is his 3rd time, I think every time it's a little bit more.
What was it?
And it's the 3 times for criticizing the league.
The refs though, or the league.
Well, it's I guess it kind of ties in together because the first time it was about the schedule because I was still with the team.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, you're gonna get fined. He was like, yeah, that's fine. Like he was like, because he's defending the short weeks, which is fine by me. He's saying like you can't play on a Saturday or on a Sunday and then go play on a Thursday.
Yeah.
I mean, NFL does it, but it's only 2 teams. It's not everyone.
But it only happens once.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It can happen multiple times for CFL teams, does it not?
Yeah. Like I think it's like 3 or 4 short weeks every team has to go through.
Yeah.
It's tough on the players.
It's very tough.
So kudos to MBT for always standing up for what's right. But this is his 3rd fine this season.
That's all right.
Yeah, we got our qualifier here. What do we have, Zach?
A real Richard, and I'm not being rude. That's actually his text handle in the text line.
A real Richard?
A real Richard.
A real Richard, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're doing excellent. Congratulations. You're our qualifier on this Friday. If you do win, it's a flight for 2 to LA with hotel and rental car. The trip is from December 26th to December 30th. You will see Clippers, Warriors, Rams, Cardinals, and you'll see the Edmonton hockey team either in LA or Anaheim. You ever been to LA?
I've been to LA, but never seen NFL or NBA before, so really excited about those 2 things.
Have you seen the oil on the road?
I have, actually. I've seen them in Phoenix way back when they were in the jobbing arena, actually.
Oh, in Glendale, though, right?
Yeah, in Glendale, yeah.
Perfect. If you win this trip on November 29th, who would you be taking with you?
I would take my lovely wife with me. She would enjoy it. It would be a good sports weekend for us, for sure.
For sure. That's the best answer there, Richard. All the best. Enjoy the long weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, and hopefully you're getting the call on the morning show on November 29th.
Sounds great. Thanks very much, guys.
That's a real Richard.
A real Richard.
Real Richard. And, the EST Fly Away to LA presented by 780. If you see Gage's shirt, that's what he's wearing. I think Jay's wearing one as well, but check them out. They're at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. They're a great partner, and we're very happy that they're with us, and they provided us all with some beautiful shirts. And I'm going to go back there, Gager. I like some. I've been to that store before I started here.
Yeah, I will go now.
Yeah.
Well, certainly I'll go now to make sure my wife doesn't keep buying stuff there. But no, I can't wait. Like I was looking at these shirts and they were all different.
Yeah.
I think I picked the best one, but that's just me.
All right, we got about 8 minutes here. I wanted to. We were talking about this in the break. I'll come up with this day in sports history as well. But Colorado claims Kaapo Kähkönen off waivers from Winnipeg.
Yeah.
We thought he'd be Hellebuck's backup.
You know, I didn't. Why do they keep getting Comrie back there? Like he's been, he's like the Lavoie of the Winnipeg Jets. Just keeps coming back.
Yeah, he just won't go away.
There's some other things that keep coming back, but we won't mention that. But he just keeps coming back like a bad rash, and I'm glad because he's great. I like him as a goaltender. I think he's. It's very difficult for goaltenders to carve out that niche of being a consistent, reliable goaltender in the NHL, just because you're not playing as much. It's a lot easier to get into a rhythm and start playing a little bit more. Hopefully he can have some success. And I know we did have Sarah Oleski on this week talking, and I posed the question, are they going to find a way to give Connor Hellebuck a little bit of rest? And she said no.
Nope.
But I mean, that's fine. He's a 60 game a year goaltender, I guess, is what you'd like him to play a little bit less. I mean, if Comrie could get into 22, that's perfect. I think just play those back-to-backs. If there are some downtimes, he can go in, maybe take the ball and rumble for 30, 40 yards with it and until Hellebuck gets back in there. But no, it's good for him. Obviously, Comrie has played well enough that he won that job. But now they're in a situation where the goaltending cupboard's a little bit light.
And Kaapo Kähkönen was good, and I liked him in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But ever since he left Minnesota, he's been on, 2 other teams, and he just hasn't found his groove.
It's weird how that works out. Like sometimes it's there's a comfort playing in one place, and you go to somewhere it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
He just needs to find a place where he feels comfortable. Because you're right, he was a really good goaltender.
Yeah. Matt Hyman says we should call Comrie the cat. I get it, but there's only one cat, and that's Felix the Cat Potvin.
Yeah, that's tough. He was kind of
I love the all black pads with the blue.
Well, yeah, he trailblazed the kind of
what a look
graphics on pads. You know, with he had the signature. Cujo had the mask.
Yeah,
and even Cujo had pads too, some Louisville pads that they were so cool, man. They came into the room, and it's funny because all hockey players love goaltender equipment, right?
Yeah.
As soon as they put it on, they're like making glove saves and stuff like that. And they look at pads. Like, so Cujo's stuff comes in and everyone's coming over and looking at him. I'm right in there too. I can't believe these things. But the thing that was really cool with it, he had like a sewn on patch that said Cujo and then official goaltending equipment for Curtis Joseph, like around this little patch on his pads. I was like, dude, that's
dope.
That's too cool. I barely get my own name on those things. It's spelt wrong. It's spelled with a W.
Joaquin.
Yeah, Joaquin.
Joaquin. This day in sports history, 1975, Islanders' Brian Trottier got his first hat trick. I want our listeners to see if they can guess this, and you'll get this right away. October 11th, 1984. First NHL game, first NHL shift, first NHL shot on goal, first NHL goal for?
What year?
84.
Mario?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy, eh?
Yeah.
It was a hell of a goal, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, listeners can't chime in now because we already gave the answer out. I knew Gage was going to get it right away. He's too sharp when it comes to hockey knowledge.
80s useless knowledge. I'm your guy.
I'm your 90s. I'm your 90s useless knowledge. And speaking of 90s birthdays today, Jason Arnott, one of my favorite players of all time. He's 50.
I reached out to him to see if he'd come on. I'll try to get his. I'll try to see if he'll come on. Great guy.
Beers on me if you get Jason Arnott, because that guy was like
really.
That guy was my guy.
Oh man,
Slots did him dirty, man. No,
Yeah,
I don't know. Those are the rumors, but I don't know that.
Yeah,
I have his jersey.
Oh, no.
Do you?
Not his Oilers one, but his New Jersey Devils one.
Okay,
25.
yeah.
That
Great
line
guy.
with Eliash and Sikora when they won the cup.
Yeah.
That was one of the best lines,
Stanley
man.
Cup winning goal, man.
Oh, that's right. In overtime?
In overtime.
Yeah.
Game 6 against the Stars.
And Jason Arnott was traded for Billy Guerin, right? And Zelepukin?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good trade.
Unreal trade.
You got a really good player in Bill Guerin, but I was always sad to see Jason Arnott go.
God,
man.
he could shoot the puck, man. Got it. It hurt. He when he shot the puck, it turned into a shot put.
Yeah, he was. And I remember he always had the thick gold chain.
Oh, yeah. He had the Mr. T starter kit. Yeah. Number 7 on there.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Well, and he was all like, he had the big, like, he was ripped to shreds. So he liked how it just, it sat on the breasts and, it popped out a little bit.
Zach's got Mario's first goal. Let's watch it here.
He's just, it's always
O'Connell
funny.
definitely both going to the penalty box. O'Connell got it for high sticking. Boutet for slashing. And Lemieux stays out there. Number 66 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. That long reach, but he can't catch up with that puck. Tilley goes back for Boston. Stolen by Lemieux in front. The shot by Keogh, and it is steered away. So they're an example of just one thing that Lemieux can do. The forechecking and the beautiful pass right in front to Keogh. Bork is turned around in front. Tilley walks in, and it's steered away by Herron. Cleared out to the blue line. Bork, the crowd excited, and there is Mario Lemieux, and he is off, racing in all alone. Lemieux, his first shot on goal, and he scores! Mario Lemieux, living up quickly to all the advertisements on his first shot on goal. Walks in on Pete Peters, puts on a deep, leaves Peters out to dry, and Mario Lemieux is now the leading scorer in the NHL.
Pete Peters, I always remember him from his Washington days. Remember he took the puck off the mask and he just fell straight back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it went right back. He was, it's funny, Pete was one of my first goaltender coaches here. He came and became goaltending coach. Different style.
Yeah.
Came with
yeah.
He the one thing about Pete, he was bulldog strong, like farm boy.
Yeah.
You'd shake his hand and you thought, I need to go for x-rays right now.
VR Montenegro says Jason Arnott could really hit the glass from the point.
Oh, he loved the high heat. I think it got to a point where, Ryan Smith got in there in front. He didn't care. Smitty didn't matter, but he could clear out the front of the net better than anyone from the point, because I don't think he ever shot the puck low.
No.
Not in practice. I still got scars actually from Arnie. Yeah, he hit me in the head and then ran into me, and I got the scar on my head from Arnie. Maybe I won't have him on the show, actually. Never mind.
That'd be great. Elks Stamps tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Maddie Iwanek and Jay Milne will have the Green and Gold kickoff show at noon from the Centric Casino on Fort Road, and they'll join you right after the game to break it all down. And then it's the Oil Stream pregame show at 7 o'clock on Saturday with Tommy, Cass, and myself, and then we'll be back for postgame. And then Sunday, we're back again as the Calgary Flames are here in town. Pregame at 5, followed by the post-game show. So a lot of stuff going on here on EST. 4 games on tap tonight. Carolina hosts the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's the Blues and Golden Knights from Vegas. Winnipeg hosts the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Vancouver Canucks look to get in the win column for the first time this year as they host the Philadelphia Flyers. That's a game I'll definitely be watching tonight with a nice glass of vino. Gager, plans for the long weekend? I know you got a dinner at the in-laws and just relaxing.
Yeah, dinner at the in-laws. Might have to research new vehicle purchases. Ugh, gross. If you got a vehicle for me, let me know. And it's a big Sunday dinner. Looking forward to it. I don't know what I'm cooking yet, but I'll bring something in.
Zach, happy Thanksgiving, my friend. You'll be with the fam?
I'll be doing something. Yeah, that's for sure. I don't know.
Nice. Well, you've done excellent work all week, and we'll finish with this one from Rusty Shackelford. Arnott walking out of Maple Leaf Garden with the middle finger out is just awesome footage.
Yeah, it's great. Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in on the apps or watching us on YouTube. We appreciate all the support. We'll be back Tuesday with EST Afternoons for Joaquin Gage. and Zachticum. Big shout out to Salim Valji, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, and Ken Tilley for joining us today. We'll be back Tuesday. Enjoy the long weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. Go Oilers. Go Elks. We'll chat Tuesday. Ciao.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website, edmontonsportstalk.com.